I'm Jordan Leavitt, I'm 4-0.
My name is Natan Levy. I'm 4-0 as a professional.
I'm Sherrard Blackledge. I'm 4-0 currently as a professional.
I'm Chris the King Combat Curtis. I train out of Syndicate Mixed Martial Arts. I'm 22-8 as a professional fighter. I was a hyper kid, man. I was always just a kid who wanted to fight people.
Weird, quiet kid actually. I was very quiet, almost mute-like until maybe high school. I didn't talk to people. I liked to play video games and read comic books and stuff. I was just a little nerdy, quiet kid.
Growing up, I was I think I'd say I was a troubled kid. I was getting in a lot of trouble. Got in a lot of trouble at school. A lot of fights. Got kicked out of a few schools.
I was very shy, kind of violent. I'd get in a lot of fights because of kids making fun of me. I came from France. I was born in Paris and I had an accent when I first came to Israel. So I'd get made fun of. So my answer would be to like fight back or bite somebody. And you know, I really like martial arts, but I was never serious enough to train consistently until I was about 15. That's when I really got into karate, kung fu, and later on MMA.
When I was younger, I saw, what was it? My father actually was watching the Vitor Belfort and Tito Ortiz fight, I believe, a long time ago. Didn't really strike a chord. Later in life, you know, my buddy, one of my old friends showed me let me watch the finale for Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner, and I was like, oh, they will pay me to do that. So, you know, I've been fighting and boxing for before that, but the Stephen Bonner, Forrest Griffin fight was when I was like, they will pay me to do this.
I wrestled my freshman year of high school, but then I quit because wrestling was pretty hard. And then the day that I quit, I turned on the TV and The Ultimate Fighter was on. And I was watching this, I'm like, this is easy, I can do this. Even though I had just quit wrestling, and I kind of showed that I could not do that at that time. But I kind of just watched it, I was intrigued. I always wanted to be a ninja or something like that, played those video games. So I asked for a punching bag for that Christmas, and then a few months later I was training. I
was actually being drawn into that cycle. That's why I ended up moving to Las Vegas. I was getting into some bad situations. So
I remember my first amateur fight because my son had just been born about a week before that, and I had my first fight. And I remember the entire thing because I'm pretty sure the guy knocked me out on my feet. Then he hit me again, and I woke up, and I ended up breaking his jaw with a lucky shot.
So I was living at an apartment complex, and there was a maintenance man there. I went down one Thanksgiving, they were giving out turkeys. I went to grab the turkey. He was like, hey, you ever thought about doing like a combat sport or so? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, maybe boxing or something. So I was like, no, I've never thought about that. He's like, well, we have a gym down here, it's only $50 a month. He's like, I fight professionally out of there. I know the coach. Like, you should come check it out. His name was Henry. So I go and I check it out. I go down there, first day, he says, hey, Sherrard, so what do you think about fighting in about a month? It's like, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, I'm signing up to do it, so let's do it.
First amateur fight was at 24. I was already teaching martial arts, karate at about 19. And at 22, I thought to myself, like, this is now or never. If I want to do MMA, I gotta leave everything and fly to Vegas, find a gym, and
PFL was fun. It was fun until it all went bad. But yeah, PFL was fun, man. The experience itself was it's hard to stomach some losses, and especially coming off of, hadn't lost in years before that tournament. So that sucked, but at the same time, man, just the experience and being out there, and it kind of relights a fire in you. And losing, especially losing that in tournament like that, it reminds you that you're not invincible. No matter how successful you've been, there's still work to do.
Before my first fight, I was talking to one of my wrestling coaches, and he basically said the worst case scenario, you're gonna get knocked out in 10 seconds. And he's like, and you don't feel getting knocked out, so there's really nothing to be worried about. So I went out there with very low expectations, and I think it allowed me to be relaxed and to go out there and flow.
Couldn't afford the boxing license at the time, so they had an MMA fight that fell through for one of their guys, and they were like, hey, would you like to step in for it? I was like, yeah, sure, why not? They were like, it's win, lose, draw, we're gonna do boxing, so it don't matter, just go in there and get some crowd experience. So we go in, the dude ended up missing weight by 30 pounds. It was
30
amateurs.
Pounds.
30 pounds.
That's the one
yeah.
weight, what weight class?
30 pounds. So we were supposed to fight at 165. I came in 165. We ended up doing it. We went in, knocked the dude out in the 3rd round.
It's just hard to get your schedules lined up, and you mentioned how people have some assumptions about fighters. I remember, when I say I'm a professional athlete, I always make sure to tell people not in the way that I can only fight for a living. I'm professional in that I make money, but I'm not professional in that it's what I could live off of. I say it's more of a side gig, and so I'm a student, and then I work, and then I'm a professional fighter.
So where do you go to school at?
The University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
And then where do you work at?
I work as a substitute teacher.
Everybody who tells me they want to be a fighter, first thing I'm going to tell them is no, you don't. You don't know how many sacrifices you're going to need to make to really get somewhere, if anywhere at all. Starting from leaving my family in Israel, I had 2 gyms, plenty of students. I was making a good living. I passed those students on to good teachers that I trust. I passed on, making a living with something I love for something that's very risky, that I might never see any money from. But it's not about that. It's about doing something, other people won't do, really challenging myself. And I thought it was only going to be training, but I didn't know how much I'm going to have to sacrifice to get where I am.
This is the first year that I'm actually in the black, man. I'm out of debt. I paid everything off. I was making, maybe 4 or 5 grand a year for a long time doing this. And I'm training full time, it's a possible worker job. I lost my ended engagement last year to the girl I've been dating on and off since I was 12 years old. That engagement came to an end. I gave up going to school for this. I was gonna go to school. I was in school for contractual law, and I gave that up for this. My son's back home, and that sucks. I went from having my son every day to having to fly out and see him every 2 months. It's hard, man. You lose a lot doing this. It's not sunshine and rainbows, everybody thinks. It's not being a rock star. You have to give up a lot to do this.